in December of 2025, I spent a month on a beautiful pre-New Year trip to two of my favorite countries, Korea and Japan. Korea is a place I return to often, while Japan I visited for the first time. That journey both during it and afterward generated an overwhelming number of ideas I wanted to share with you. The first ideas come crashing over me like an avalanche on the Shinkansen from Tokyo to Osaka. You already know my vibe of this series, where I honestly break down what I bought, what works, and what really doesn't, while showing how I style the pieces in real life. But the things I carry home from trips, they feel different. They are not just purchases, they are fragments of atmosphere, memory, and feeling. That's why I'm giving them their own series, one that will just as constructive, but more about what these places, people, and moments quietly taught me, and how they continue to live in my imagination. For me, Japan and Korea stand out as truly unique countries, wrestle with such a rich, carefully crafted diversity of real styles worn by everyday people. Each trip there has gradually reshaped my preferences, from hairstyle and makeup choices to the way I carry myself and even subtle shifts in behavior. That's why I want to explore my travel purchases through this cultural lens, how being surrounded by all that intentional creativity makes you notice new sides of yourself, embrace something different, and slowly evolve into a slightly updated version of who you are. My name is Anastasiia, and today's video is a soft, intuitive entry point into this new series, a fragrance edit from the journey. If you love niche perfumery or if something here simply resonates with you today, make yourself comfortable. I'm glad to speak to you. Starting with fragrance felt natural as the smell is one of the oldest senses deeply intertwined with memory and emotion. With scent, emotions seem to imprint directly onto a deeper layer of your mind, capable of capturing a mood or a state of being in ways that images simply cannot. All of them are truly unisex, yet some carry a more masculine edge, raw, woody, or grounded, while others lean softer and more feminine, delicate, floral, or enveloping. But none of them are confined to any gender, they simply resonate with whatever part of your needs expression right then. We will begin this selection with one of my absolute favorite, Acqua Fiorentina by Creed, which I picked it up in Seoul. For me, it stands on the same level as my other favorite perfumes, Barret 1996 and Merchant of Venice Blue Tea. I first opened Acqua Fiorentina during my New Year's trip to Seoul, just before New Year's 2025. Since then, it has become for me a bottle of true nobility, not condescending, but life-affirming and inspiring. I don't experience fragrances through not pyramids, I read them through associations, and Acqua Fiorentina feels like a sphere of warm orange energy with a light, almost sparkling edge. It gives a sense of light, not a flat kind of positivity and not simple coziness, but light that warms your shoulders and wrap around you like safest embrace, like a blanket woven from fruit tint light, its edges interlaced with lace-like leaves. It makes me smile every time I wear it, but not only then. Even if I choose another fragrance that suits my mood better at the moment, I can simply inhale Acqua Fiorentina and let its energy set the tone for my day. It's strong yet soft, bright yet enveloping, positive but not hollow, life-affirming rather than cheerful, deep without being heavy. Because this video would be rather pointless if everything were filtered solely through my own introspection, bordering on a touch of spiritualism, that said, I must turn to the note pyramid. At the top, Acqua Fiorentina bursts with crisp grapefruit, juicy pineapple, and sparkling lemon. Bright, fresh, and sweetly luminous. It glows with clean energy, never sharp. The heart softens into velvety plum and apple wrapped around the gentle, refined rose. Elegant floral petals placed in space, not a bouquet. In the dry down, it warms into quiet sensuality. White musk and creamy cedarwood cling close, leaving a polished, softly woody finish that lingers with subtle completeness. For me, this is a fragrance for any time of year except summer. It's not really made for heat. When the air is already warm or stifling, it can feel too dense. My hand instinctively reached for it in a cool or cold weather when it wraps you perfectly in its comforting warmth. To fully enjoy my choice, I asked AI who exactly is the kind of person that corresponds to this fragrance. And here is the AI conclusion. For a woman or a man who appreciates refined freshness, confident, and social, yet without any pretension. Someone who values art, beauty, quality materials, and a sunny disposition, this fragrance is about inner joy and sophisticated hedonism. Acqua Fiorentina is a gourmet freshness. It's not a burst of lemon or sea breeze, but a complex layered bouquet of crisp apples, ripe apricots, tangy pomegranate blossoms, and delicate rose, all resting on a creamy, woody musk base. It speaks not of passion or mystery, but of the joy of being, sunlight, and impeccable taste. Moving from the sunny, fruity world of Florence, we enter a stricter, more mystical atmosphere. Santa Maria Novella, Acqua di Calonia, Inglese, often simply called Incenso. It's not just a perfume, but a journey through time and spirit. It's one of the oldest and most iconic fragrances in the world, created in 1749 for an English lord who came to a Tuscan pharmacy seeking a remedy for melancholy. The story of this perfumery, Santa Maria Novella, and the fact that it's one of the world's oldest pharmacies really compels us to reach into its history. Founded by Dominican friars in Florence in 1221, it began as a place for creating medicinal remedies, herbal elixirs, and tonics, blending alchemy, botany, and centuries of practical knowledge. Over time, it evolved into perfumery, carrying forward the same philosophy: meticulous craftsmanship, rare natural ingredients, and an intimate connection to history. Because of this lineage, being one of the world's oldest pharmacies, many of their fragrances carry a distant root-like herbal backbone. It's almost as if this DNA of the brand is encoded in the scent itself, giving every perfume a trace of history, earthiness, and timeless authenticity. Incenso by Santa Maria Novella is the complete opposite of mass appeal sweet fragrances. It's ascetic, meditative, almost architectural in its construction, dry, cool, transparent, and deeply intellectual. It smells like silence, an old library at dawn, an empty Gothic cathedral, cold stone, worn leather bindings, and clean, restrained spirit. There is nothing edible here, no obvious florals. It's utilized in minimalism, discipline, and the raw strength of its materials. With fragrances like this, the idea of classic note pyramid feels almost irrelevant. Incensa unfolds as a single, cohesive accord, steady and composed, shifting only slightly over time. Still, a few key impressions naturally reveal themselves. At the top, warm cardamom meets the bright spark of pink pepper, subtly spicy and intriguingly electric. The heart fills with dry smoke incense deepened by saprol's dark, leathery woody earthiness, ancient smoke, and cool stone. In the dry down, crisp petir anchors everything with green woody roots, leaving a quiet, smoldering trail of devotion. The unfolding of this fragrance feels to me like first stepping into a cold stone castle, only to be gradually enveloped in warmth under the light of a gentle candle after long hours spent among books. And here is the AI verdict: the kind of person who wears this fragrance. So, this scent belongs to an intellectual, a mystic, an ascetic, someone who values history, silence, and inner depth. Truly unisex in the purest sense and entirely ageless, it exists outside trends and durations. My partner bought it for himself, yet in the early days of spring, my hand kept reaching for it again and again. In my opinion, it's best suited for autumn, winter, and early spring in cool, overcast, and damp weather. Its austere, mineral aura can feel out of place in the summer heat. In essence, Santa Maria Novella Incenso is not a perfume, but a materialized atmosphere. A bottle containing cold stone, ancient smoke, accumulated knowledge, and the noble patina of time. It speaks not to the body, but to the spirit. I wear it to create a working atmosphere, to ground myself, to feel like that very monk seated in a library amid towering stacks of books, or a modest scholar quietly laboring over a new discovery. Not someone hipster hunched over Illinois yoga, sipping fancy coffee from a porcelain mug. After the austere silence and spiritual restraint of Santa Maria Novella Incenso, the transition to Tom Ford is almost theatrical. Where Incenso withdraws inward, Tom Ford Fabulous steps into the light, loud, deliberate, and apologetically self-aware. This polarity mirrors the beautiful inconsistency of being human, how we hold within us both the ascetic and the showman, the inward seeker and the outward force, ready to emerge whichever version the day or the soul calls for, and both are equally true. In fact, Fabulous is the shortened name for the censored market. Its full origin name is even more provocative, explicitly capturing the bold, self-assured, and unapologetic state of mind of the wearer. Fabulous is not just a fragrance, it's a perfumery performance, a provocation, a manifesto, beginning with its very name. In essence, it embodies Tom Ford's glamour, bold sexuality, and luxury distilled to an almost exaggerated degree, expressive, synthetically refined, daring, and impeccably styled. It's not the scent of nature or memory, but of a late night. A private club, a Bulgarian hand, freshly powdered skin, and expensive leather warmed by the body. Everything is built on contrast, bitter green notes against sweeter leather, soapy cleanliness colliding with animalic warmth. Conceptually, it's gestured toward a kind of forbidden, almost sinful fabulousness. The opening strikes sharp and clean, cool medicinal lavender wrapped in clary sage herbaceous bitterness, antiseptic and confrontational. At its heart, soft impeccable leather immersed with creamy vanilla, powdery orris, and hypnotic bitter almond edge. In the dry down, a second skin of leather deepens into tonka sweet spice, cashmere musk, and airy white woods, smooth, warm, and luxuriously skin-like. In character, this fragrance belongs to someone bold and urban who treats perfume as an accessory and a statement. Someone comfortable with provocation, with Tom Ford's black and white hedonistic aesthetic. It's worn more often by men, but a confident woman can wield it just as powerfully. Honestly, I'm not that kind of person, at least not at this stage of my life. And then, Tom Ford Fabulous is not a smell, it's quote, a distilled version of the Tom Ford universe. Luxury fleeting with vulgarity, not crude or overt, but the tension when luxury comes close to it, like charged, taut wires ready to spark. After the sharp glamour of Tom Ford Fabulous, it feels only right to slow down, to release that static tension and breathe. The closing fragrance in this selection needed to create space for reflection and a touch of melancholy, not more provocative, but deeper. A scent that doesn't compete for attention, yet quietly stays with you. The kind of perfume you end a story with. Diptyque Eau Rihla, it's a journey captured in leather. The name Rihla comes from the Arabic word meaning journey and refers to the travel writings of the 14th century Moroccan explorer Ibn Battuta. This is not an exotic postcard or a spice market fantasy. It's an intellectual reflection on moment itself, on distance, memory, dust, and time. Or Rihla is a private monologue meant to be experienced in solitude or shared quietly with a close friend. It doesn't announce itself, a scent for those who appreciate silence as much as expression. At its core, Or Rihla is a leather fragrance, but reimagined. Diptyque avoids the familiar tropes of burnt saddle leather or soft suede. Here, leather warmth lived in, dusted, infused with resins from distant lands, and the warmth of the body that carries it. The sense is dry, warm, slightly melancholic, and deeply atmospheric. The opening feels like departure. Metallic honey saffron and jammy raspberry lifted by sparkling pink pepper, golden, dry, and adult. The heart reveals soft leather and cool powdery iris alongside Atlas Cheddar's dry, resinous woodiness, nostalgic and hypnotic. In the base, gentle vanilla and soft musks bring intimate, skin-like warmth, creamy, polished, and quietly lingering. In character, this fragrance belongs to the contemplative type, a melancholic, an aesthete, a quiet nomad. It's for a grown person with memories who prefers understated depth over visible luxury. Completely genderless, complex, and introspective, this fragrance belongs to my partner. To me and many of the women I know, it feels quite heavy, almost weighty on the skin. I'm genuinely fascinated by listening to it unfold, but for now, it remains completely unwearable for me. Eau Rihla is best suited for autumn and winter, for evenings, for cool air. It creates a private space for reading, writing, slow conversations, or creative solitude. In the end, Diptyque Eau Rihla narrates a journey. It speaks not of a destination, but of a state of being in motion, suspended between homesickness and desire for the unknown, between rareness and enchantment. One of the most intellectual and atmospheric leather fragrances in the market, and a true gem for those who value niche perfumery with depth and story. This fragrance added become for me something more than a selection of bottles from a trip. Each of these perfumes carries a different form of memory, glamour and provocation, silence and history, a silence and nobility, movement and introspection. Together, they form a quiet map, not across countries or streets, but to the corners of the soul. As I mentioned, this video marks the beginning of a new direction on my channel, one that follows objects across countries and thousands of kilometers, paying attention to the atmospheres, cultures, and quiet minutes that gather around them, all seen through my own lens and distilled through my personal experience. So thank you for spending this time with me. My name is Anastasiia, and if something here resonated with you, I'm very glad we shared this moment. And if you feel like staying, make yourself comfortable. There is much more to come. Until the next time.